And then we had Click's favorite. I mean, the highlight for Click, Splatoon 3. That was the big one more thing at the end of the direct.
Listen, I was already super happy about Skyward Sword, and they're like, oh, there's also one more thing, and I'm like, what the heck else could you add other than my favorite Zelda game?
And it was Splatoon 3.
I was in heaven. Yeah, no, I'm so excited, dude.
This is an interesting one. Okay, so I'm curious. Click, I've played some of Splatoon 2, right? Not nearly like the 10,000 plus hours you have. Just like Evan's probably played quite a bit of it too. I would assume Splatoon 2. Like you played 100 hours in Splatoon 2,
maybe.
Like,
yeah. Like I don't have that many,
it's
but
a big game though. Like I'm not knocking 100 hours or something because compared to other games, like that's a lot. But there's just so much to learn in that game. So many different weapons. It's like there's a reason why the people like the Splatoon community, most of those people have 800 plus hours in that game. Like I have like 2,000, and that's nothing compared to the actual. Yeah, there's like 130 different weapons, but it's also the fact that I know people who have like 6,000-7,000 hours. The Splatoon community is a very dedicated community, and they were going off. Like they were so excited.
Oh yeah. So I'm curious. This game's gonna have a pretty long dev cycle between 2 and 3 then, because 1 and 2 had what, a 2-year cycle between them, right? Because it came out 2015, then 2017.
2015, 2017.
Yes, but you also remember part of that team also works on Animal Crossing too.
Yeah. So, but like this is going to be like technically 4 years between.
They also had Octo expansion as well, and if anybody hasn't played the Octo expansion, like that has more story. Like that, I highly recommend Octo expansion. It is probably one of my favorite DLCs of all time. I'm
curious how they make 3 feel different than 2.
They would have to go more along the lines of the DLC, because that is the most story-driven, cutscene intensive Splatoon anything that I've seen, and they did a phenomenal job with it.
Story, okay.
3 has very big shoes to fill because of how good Octo expansion was.
I like the idea of them doing a big story mode for it. I think that'd be really cool. Like a very in-depth story.
Yeah.
So I watched the trailer, I think 70 to 80 times before I made a video talking about. So I watched the trailer many times. I'm not as big on Splatoon as Click, but I have over 300 something hours into Splatoon. Yeah. So I put quite a bit of time into it. One of my favorite games on Switch. And from the very beginning, you can clearly tell the jump in time that they've had, because it looks a lot better. The models look a lot better. The characters look way better. It is definitely more of an enhancement. I know it might be hard to tell if you didn't play Splatoon a lot, but you can clearly tell there's definitely a jump in the game, and like the weapons, like the graphics in the game. But even that beginning part where they're walking, it definitely seems like it's going to be way more on the story, and the story is going to be far more involved than what they did before. It just looks on a bigger scope, and the fact that they're leaving the Inkopolis and going to like the new Splatlands, like they have a whole new setting for it. That just sets up all sorts of possibilities. And that Splatsville, or the City of Chaos, looks massive. It looks like you're going to be able to go like not just like a lobby area, but like actually go through pathways and other stuff. Maybe. It just looks like it just from like, I saw some other type of alleyways and stuff in there. Maybe it's just for window dressing, but it looks like you're going to be able to go further in and do some more stuff on there. Maybe even have potentially like where you get missions from people, then head out. And so that's what I thought, basically just watching over and over. Speculation, but I mean, it looks amazing, and I'm ridiculously excited to play.
So what's with the disrespect for Splatoon here then? What's going on?
To be honest, Splatoon is literally is considered the #1 game in Japan. They have vending machines everywhere, merch everywhere. They have projector concerts with the characters, and people are in there with glow sticks, jumping and dancing and having fun. Splatoon is like a phenomenon over there, and the West just hasn't accepted. Yes, you can look it up on YouTube right now. They literally have the freaking Off the Hook. They have the Squid Sisters. Like the music is phenomenal. I'm glad they give the musicians like their live performance opportunity. They have the projectors of the characters. Japan loves Splatoon. They have tournaments all the time, and those are Nintendo supported, obviously. Splatoon, obviously, in the West is, a lot like, kind of like we see with the Smash community. It's a lot more
grassroots,
self-made, very dedicated fan base.
Oh, I thought you were going a different direction with that one. Go on.
No. There's a whole other point. There's some good videos I can link you guys to about, all that stuff. But the point is, Splatoon is, it frustrates me because Nintendo consoles are not necessarily known for their shooters. So people who are big fans of shooters, they're not necessarily going to be natively playing a Nintendo console. And that's frustrating because Splatoon, like when I first, got it, I was really into Overwatch. Like I loved Overwatch, it was my favorite game at the time. And then when Splatoon came out, I was like, oh, it's a cute team-based shooter. Like it'll be good for kids. And then once people actually were like, you should try this, this, and this, I was like, holy crap, this has so many elements to it. It is so deep, so intricate in the way that you can build your shooter, the motion control, how that changes playing just vanilla sticks on controller. There's so many elements that people overlook because of how it looks. And it frustrates me because it's colorful, it's totally unique. There's no other game where it's like random just like squids talking, sound like they're underwater. There's a lot of elements that get overlooked, and it's probably one of the prettiest games on the Switch. I'm very excited for 3 because I would love to even see how it could be even prettier. It's one of the best running games. The online, I play 13 hours straight. I maybe get 2 DCs, and most of the time those are like rage quitters. So take it as you may. I really wish Splatoon got more love, because as someone who is a fan of shooters on PC, this is honestly like it's kind of just atrocious of how people overlook it because it looks like a kid's game.
That's the thing. It does look kind of like a Nickelodeon style game, and people have to play it to really understand it. But the problem is you got to get them to play it. So
I think the issue is not necessarily for people that don't want to play it. It's the issue for me is like they don't want to acknowledge it. Like you can not like something and that's completely fine, but when somebody says, okay, well, it's big, it sold like 12 13 million, oh well, I don't care, it's not, I don't like, they don't acknowledge it at all, even though it's factual. So I think that's the thing that I'm kind of more, it's not that everybody's not going to like the same stuff, and that's fine. You can be objective and not like one thing or not like something else, like that's cool. But like to sit there and deny what's facts, that's the kind of thing I'm like, okay, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like I just kind of brush aside, because that's what I see quite a bit with Splatoon. It's like, okay, well, it sold 12 million. Oh, well, it's not big to me. It's no. It's factually big. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. Like that's, you can be what you like. If you don't like it, that's fine. But let's not act like it's not a major franchise like that. So that's the only thing that I have. It's not that you don't like it.
What we're saying, Rich?
A YouTuber named Solid Rev.
Mm-hmm. Solid Rev,
yeah. Well, anyway, whether you know him or not, he's like around my age. He's big into shooters. You would never get someone like him playing Splatoon. So I think that's part of the inherent problem with it, is that it maybe have an insane gameplay, but you're not going to get someone like him to play it. So that's why I think its audience gets not bottlenecked, but there's an audience out there that won't even give it a chance because of its aesthetic. Oh
yeah, it's definitely a cultural thing as well. I mean, we're not necessarily the most keen on going for cutesy wootsy woomy Vimo characters, so I get it, but I think people shouldn't sleep on 3. Like, get into it.
It's a younger IP for Nintendo too, which is actually weird for people to think about now, because I mentioned it's only 2 years older than ARMS, and I mean I gotta remind people that ARMS exists half the time,
which sucks because it's actually a good game, but for some reason that one just took a dump for Nintendo. How did that sell?
3 million.
Yeah. Ooh, that's bad.
What a dump. I mean,
for Nintendo, that's like, but like most games, that's good.
I mean, for a new IP that's not Smash Brothers and a fighting game. I mean, like Tekken 7 has sold like 4 million. And that's on that's on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. So ARMS being as a new IP to sell anywhere near that, and like look at Street Fighter 5, for example, right? That's like I think 4 or 5 million.
Street Fighter 5 struggled ever since it released.
So I mean, fighting games don't sell like crazy numbers. Guilty Gear and all those games don't even sell anywhere near those amounts. So the fact that ARMS as a new IP, a fighting game, could do that, but it is Nintendo. But people like to compare it to Smash Brothers, and obviously Smash is like destroys like every fighting game in terms of sales. So it's tough for ARMS. Like it doesn't have the characters. It doesn't have like everyone's like, well, let me just play Smash. On the Switch,
because to Nintendo, that's like when Michael Jackson was complaining that his album only sold 2 million copies. So they're probably like, we all of our other franchises do 20 million. So no, thank you.
So Splatoon 2 is good selling. Sold over 1 million copies, or 11 million copies, which is only 2 million behind Super Mario Party, and Nintendo won't even update that game. So it's pretty good. Okay, let's go to Project Triangle.
Real quick, I got some corrections. Tekken's like at 6 or 7. Some people in the chat are saying 6 or 7 million, but even still, that's still on. It's on an install base of look on PlayStation 4, Xbox, and PC, and it's only 6 to 7 million. I mean, that's not spectacular for fighting games. I mean, it's great, but lots of other games sell a lot more when it comes to genres like Call of Duty. Look at Call of Duty. Look at sports games. Look at all that stuff. So Smash, obviously. So
then we have this was up there for me with Mario Golf. This was the other big announcement that I really liked. Project Triangle Strategy. Coming 2022. So we're
I love what they did with this game, man. I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, huge Octopath fan, really big, and like it seems like they just kind of mixed those two together, and also like some tactics, FF tactics. Like I really like the strats with this game, really like what they did, and it's not the thing that I like about it is that like Octopath is like a bigger, a game where you have random encounters, which can get kind of annoying at times unless you do some stuff to where you can lower the random encounters. This one has more like phases where it's like the exploration phase, then you go into like to the battle. And I really like that because I'm a big strategy RPG fan anyway with Fire Emblem. So I really like the fact that they did this. And like the decisions based stuff is super cool. Like some of the decisions even in the demo is like dope. Like you kind of like, oh man, what should I pick here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like this.
They tell us right at the beginning, they're like, you're probably not going to know what's going on. We're just going to throw you in the middle here, but tell us how the battles are is basically what they want to know. And it's interesting the way they have it set up. I'm curious about the branching paths and how that's actually going to work out if the decisions really matter as much as they're making it out to be. But the gameplay is interesting so far from what I've played. I played 2 of the battles, I think, so far. And you can combo some of the enemies into like your allies and they'll hit them again. And there's definitely a lot of strategy going on here with this game. The menu stuff is a bit weird at first. The movement was the thing that was because like in a lot of these tactics games, you'll pick one of the people and then you'll hit move and then you move them. This one was a bit different, I guess. It immediately just says, okay, here's all your movement tiles like right away. And that threw me off a little bit. I don't know if it's the depth that they have it set up for like perception. I don't know. It's kind of weird to navigate them around at first, but they're doing a lot of, this is like their first like demo for beta stuff. So they'll probably get a lot of feedback for that like they did with Octopath. Evan, you want to hit us to that Discord question because it is around Project.
All right. Triangle. For anyone who hate the title Triangle Strategy, what other names would you rename the title? He suggested things like Trinity Tactics, Triad Conquest, or Scales of Conviction.
Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics.
I think Triangle Tactics would be a good name.
I'm confused why they don't just use the Tactics name like Final Fantasy. I don't know why like it's there. I know they want to probably be different from Final Fantasy because it's like their other team that's trying to make this into like, because did you notice that when they did the trailer, they put up part of the HD 2D series or whatever, and they had trademarked that before. So they went from standard JRPG, like traditional, to Tactics, which means they're probably going to go to another one after this, and it's just going to be part of that HD 2D series.
Action RPG.
That's what I was thinking, action RPG. Yeah. But like Final Fantasy Tactics has been dormant for a while. The name's there, and they know that if they put that name on it, it would at least give it some recognition. I don't know. It's possible they could go to it, but I'm kind of thinking this is just going to be like its own thing. And with Octopath Traveler, we first knew it as Project Octopath Traveler, and they just dropped the first thing. So
it's probably going to be called Triangle.
This might just be Triangle Strategy.
Yeah, I think they're just going to call it Triangle Strategy. They're just going to.
I think that's a bad idea.
And rename the war, dude.
RPGs, but they need a better name than that.
And rename the war.
That's what everyone said about Octopath. Everyone's like, the name's dumb, but it's not going to sell anything, and Octopath sold really well.
At least that's not fancy like Octopath.
People were trashing the hell out of the name. Let's not try to sugarcoat it now because the game did well. No.
Okay with that.
We're trashing the name.
I'm not trashing the name. Personally, these games are okay to me. They look okay.
People were saying Octopath Travel is a horrible name. They need to rename it. Nobody's gonna know. And
call this game whatever you want. I'm still not interested.
Yeah.
Really?
Nope, not one bit.
Yep.
Not one bit. These games aren't for me.
I'm with Jordan.
I'll fall asleep. I will say the voice acting was good. I like that.
Good. Yeah.
But other than that,
my friends were making some of the
bored.
voice acting. It was good.
Where's Time Splitters Rewind? Everyone keeps saying this.
Time Splitters needs to come back, and they're working on it right now.
For what platform?
They haven't announced. I think it's going to go to as many as THQ Nordic can put it on.
Please.
Or THQ can put it on. I think it's going to go. I mean, we'll see. They've done some odd things in the past, depending on how the Switch development goes. But THQ, I think, is very, very interested in the Switch for development. But I can see, at the very least, it'll come out and it'll be PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and it'll be backwards compatible with the PS5 and the Series systems. I'd like to hear about it this year, but we'll see with that one. Nate, what do you think of Triangle Strategy?
It's awful.
It's a great game. The demo is fantastic. It will be a Game of the Year contender in 2022.
Oh, wait a minute. A Game of the Year contender?
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Based on this demo, that's a damn good demo. The story is already developed.
Yeah, but I don't even think Octopath Traveler won Soundtrack of the Year.
That's because the people who nominated soundtrack were morons, and they're like, Red Dead makes noise. That's the best soundtrack I've ever heard. And Octopath, like,
Octopath had an amazing soundtrack too, and oh wow.
We have to listen to Primrose's theme, and that should have won by default, but that's a different topic. No, Project Triangle over here is gonna be one of the best games next year. Everything about it is solid. They have a good foundation set. They have to change some of the UI. Yeah. Probably a little bit of just the general user interface, even with the grid. Some of it was confusing, but that's easy. They can fix that up in the next.
That's why they put this out. Yeah, it's just to be like, all right, what do we need to change? So they did it with.
There's a lot of good stuff in that demo.
Oh yeah, yes, I am very happy with what I'm seeing right now. I just like the visuals. I like that they're sticking with that visual style. So that'll be. Yeah. I just want to see where they take this going forward, the HD 2D series. I think it is a really cool take on like retro, pixel style visuals.
I just think the problem for me is the pixels. Like, I think it's really cool to have that look, that 2D, 3D look, but there's something about like the 8-bit, 16-bit that just does not interest me anymore. I have no interest in that.
So you think as they evolve that, if they maybe go up to like the 32-bit style visuals or something, and they just like they keep building on it basically, like up to like the PS1 style visuals with it or something. That's what you're thinking.
Fire Emblem.
They just name it Fire Emblem. It's fine. It's fine.
It's very close to fire. They borrow so much stuff. It's 3 houses there. They have the different colors. It looks like they said Fire Emblem's good. Let's just do that. But what we want to do, like they copy a lot from Fire Emblem. But the decisions, Fire Emblem, your decisions. Those make a big deal. Like it's like towards the end of the game,
right?
The decisions really. Whereas this one, it's like all throughout the game, which I like that about this over Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem just has like a lot of superficial choices where it's just like you can gain a little bit more affinity, or they might like or not like. This game actually has big decisions that you make throughout the whole thing, which adds to the replay value instead of just at specific points. So that's what I love about what they did here with the decision making here. So. Wow.